Surf's up, it's Mauisnake here with a tier list for SkinClub, set up on my own channel, not on my own Twitch channel, not on my own YouTube, but here on SkinClub's channel. Thanks to SkinClub for sponsoring this video. I'm going to be getting my thoughts out regarding a lot of the teams that have made roster moves in the last 3 or so months. Some of these teams we've seen quite a bit of already, some of them not so much, and let's just jump into it. Some of the teams we really have actually seen nothing, so I'm just going to give my personal opinion on what they have done so far. So, first up, we've got Furia, Yukindar Molodoi. Yes, I'm going back a handful of months here. So, this has been a slam dunk. This has revitalized Furia. Furia are now finally a team that looks to be competing for the top 5, whereas before they were sort of hovering 11 to 15 with Skulls and Cello. Now with Yukindar and Molodoi, they're playing good CS. The switch to English hasn't hindered any of the Brazilian players. In fact, it might have even helped Fallen, just because he's now playing a tougher role and he's not doing that badly. Sure, I think the rating may be red, but compared to some other in-game leaders who were putting up 0.8 ratings and everything like that, Fallen is getting multiple rounds per series where he's getting decisive multi-frags, kills on gun rounds that he should be getting, and overall, like, the adaptation from Fallen here in what was supposed to be the twilight years of his career, and probably still is, it's been extremely impressive. So, Navi, Makaze for JL. I actually think this is a great move. I think 1-to-1, I might not have said that Makaze is a strict upgrade for JL, and I might still not say that, but it does feel like he's breathing in a bit of fresh air, or he's breathing in a bit of fresh life into this team. He's actually giving them seemingly it's almost like a renewed honeymoon. I feel like Bit's playing a little bit better. I feel like Ema's playing a little bit better. I think the mood on the team seems to be a bit more focused. As of the time I'm recording this, they're starting map 3 of the series between Spirit. Both teams took a map off of each other. I don't even know if this was possible. Navi has actually done decently versus Spirit in the past. Like, they're not, even with the JL lineup, they've had competitive maps, but it's been a while since Navi has even taken a map off of Spirit. You have to go all the way back to Katowice in February, and since then they had lost 7 maps in a row to Spirit. So now to finally take a map off of them again, I feel like this is definitely helping out Navi, even if, the 1-to-1 is still a little weird to me. But yeah, Makaze is doing some work. He even did extremely well in the map that they lost to Spirit earlier at this one. So NIP, this is another great move where Erasdos was not clicking for NIP. I'm not sure if that was a language barrier thing or just simply couldn't fulfill the way that Snappy wanted to play the game, but Kacpersky is a definite upgrade in terms of explosive firepower. He is already fitting the Snappy system nicely. I don't really think that and I think that he's really got even more to show. So this is a NIP team that now I would probably rank in the 14th to 20th in the world. I couldn't really go too much higher than that yet. I feel like a lot of the teams that are swirling around the top 10 would still pretty easily beat NIP, or not easily, but I think they would consistently beat NIP. So I think that they're going to get a nice jump from this, and they might even pass up some of the teams who maybe made some less impressive roster moves. Now, M80, bringing in Hex for Rek. This seems kind of strange. Hex was a more aggressive rifler than Rek, who is more passive on lurks, on anchor positions. So that is a bit questionable to me, but it just felt like Rek could never really regain the form that I saw in 2024, where alongside Malbs mostly, but even a little bit more on the later lineup for M80, I felt like Rek was such a consistent factor. Like, he barely ever messed up completely on his job, but didn't quite get that extra kill that some other players would. But I don't really think that Hex is... I think Hex is better overall as a player. I think being an aggressive rifler and beating Tier 2 North American competition as regularly as Hex did means that this is good for M80. So they should have a little bit more stability and just kind of like punching down against the rest of their usual opponents. But I haven't really seen Hex have as many pop-offs versus European opposition, or really either him or Rex. So this is kind of in the still more to see. I want to say this is kind of between great move and still more to see, maybe good move, but I couldn't really say it's a good move yet without catching a little bit more of M80. Now, Spirit, we got Zwei taking the spot of Magix. This has been in what we've got in the limited sample size. This has been just a bust for me. I'm not really currently versus NAVI. He's putting up a 0.77 rating. This first month for Zwei has really just taken him back down to earth completely. I mean, it's kind of strange because Zwei did not do well in the third stage of the Austin Major, and he's pretty much putting the exact same numbers up again at IEM Cologne. So once he really plays tier 1 opposition, you really can't be too happy about it, because he just has to play more in the role. He has to play more in as an entry like Magix did. You have to be a little bit more sacrificial. You have to just kind of do what the team tells you to do, and it doesn't really seem like this has been a boost for me. I'm not going to say that this looks bad, because Magix would have similar ratings, but it's definitely in the lower end of still more to see. So I think the thing is with him, he probably Spirit, and it's safe to say most people, including myself, would say that he has more potential than Magix. He's young. In fact, he's 17 years old. So you would expect that he can grow into it and maybe adapt and be a bit more malleable than Magix was at this point. But definitely lost a lot in terms of personality from Spirit. So in that capacity, this looks bad. But in terms of what actually could be possible for Spirit, it's still more to see. They might still actually make it to the grand finals of Cologne. So it can't be that bad. Now, Kyoske Falcons, this is already a slam dunk. I mean, I think the reason I wouldn't want to put it in slam dunk is that, I mean, it's not a strict upgrade for everybody. This is definitely nerfing Tessus, but Kyoske himself has been a slam dunk. But this is going to definitely hurt some of the aspects of the team that made them interesting to watch. And I'm still in it's in the great move category. I'm not going to just rank these teams based solely off of the results that they have in Cologne, but it's definitely a great move, okay? I mean, if you have Kyoske on the table, you're willing to buy him out. This guy looks to be another rifle superstar. Yeah, and I'm saying superstar, and I don't say that lightly. I know a lot of people throw around hyperbole here. I used to do it more, but this is a guy that can be a top 5 rifler in the world, okay? These don't come by very often, so I'm extremely positive about Kyoske's future, and I don't care how I don't really care how they showed up in Cologne. If this guy is around, you get him. You get this kind of prospect if there's a guy that's not locked on a contract. But the only thing about Falcons, though, is that if you actually could buy somebody for a $2 million buyout, couldn't you get somebody that's actually a little bit more established? And just like, that seems like such an exceedingly high fee. But I think the eye test is incredible on Kyoske. I can't stress enough that this guy might be the best aiming rifler in tier 1. The way he locks onto people for bursts just seems so solid and consistent, and his crosshair placement is so good. So his fights look so easy at times, but then you realize he's just 3-bulleting practically everybody. I mean, you're not even getting the 4th bullet out most of the time, because by bullet 1, 2, or 3, he's already headshotted them. So yeah, this is awesome. Wildcard is clearly in the what the hell going on over here category. This is just been a walking disaster with I mean, you could, peeping was worth bringing up for the stats on him. I'm going to be completely blunt and honest. I haven't seen peeping in tier 2 because the teams that he was playing against, I can hardly tell if the competition there is rigorous enough that it's going to translate to tier 1 that well. But to see a guy with the numbers that he had in tier 2, which you would really consider kind of tier 3. If it's tier 2 NA, it's pretty much tier 3 Europe. If you see that, it's worth taking a risk, but that's only really if you think things are going badly. And I don't really think that anything with the 5-man lineup of Wildcard was going that badly. Yeah, they didn't have the results, but hearing everything we have and seeing what we have seen with the Susp move in and out, or well, just out, the Stanislaw move out and in, I just think that the organization is holding back what it could be otherwise a solid roster that was showing a lot of potential. And I'm not even saying this with much North American bias. I mean, they were looking like a pretty legit top 25 team in the world, and one that could probably move up just a tad with a couple more reps versus top opposition. They almost just didn't even get enough reps, it felt like, versus top opposition. And what they captured at Shanghai feels like has been completely lost from a tumultuous previous season, and one where the management looked directly at odds with the team itself. G2, this is in the low, still more to see category. I know that Kassad thinks that Mattis is super sharp. He's sharp. He's not wrong about that mechanically. Practically everybody that really grinds watching Tier 2 has told me Mattis's decision-making is quite poor. And I, so far, would probably be in the middle negative category more for G2. I don't know what it is about this, but the calling from Hunter has been poor. I'm not a fan of the way he has tried creating shortcuts for some of the rounds. I would rather actually see overcooking on these T sides than just sit in tunnels for the entire round on B, Dust 2, and then after losing map control for the next 30 seconds because your first play got stuffed, just going back into B. I saw the exact same call from early Snacks on G2, and you could tell that it pissed everybody on G2 off besides Snacks, so I'm really surprised that Hunter is going for similar sorts of calls. And I want to, but there's still more to see. He's growing into the role. Yeah, we'll see. I felt like this had to happen eventually for Hunter because his individual performance was falling off. So yeah, still looking to judge this a bit more. I'm kind of disappointed with Sun Pius though. Sun Pius was definitely solid on Heroic, and this and in for Heroic right now, for them to bring in Grix and Nilo, this looks bad. Okay, I feel like the Grix hype was almost purely high rating driven. I think that it's worth taking a risk on this kind of move. And also, if Sun Pius is leaving, this was probably one of the most talked about people in that space. But he kind of read to me a little bit more as a noob farmer that just kind of would benefit off of re-peaking and not getting flashed. Whereas Sun Pius was a lot more calculated. But it's not even that Grix is bad. Okay, I'm not going to say Grix is bad. Grix looks like Grix could be actually a still more to see / great move. I think Nilo's been bad. That's what's surprising. Nilo's mechanics look amateur. His mechanics, no joke, look like a lot of people in the world that play Counter-Strike at a FACEIT level 10 could do what he's doing. He looked really good 9 months ago plus when he was actually playing CS. But that whole time that he was on the bench, I don't know what he was doing. And he doesn't look that good anymore. So the coach move away from Saw, the thing is that nothing was really forced by Heroic. They're just a team that is not going to ever truly ascend to the highest level anymore because they are kind of more in the budget category. So right now this looks bad to me. VP, I don't really also care too much about the initial results because the team core, which is hamstrung by Electronic, is bad. So I'm not judging that. I'm judging overall Perfecto for Flamus. That's a great move for me. Okay, Perfecto looks good. Looks solid enough for me. He's more fitting in the positions that he's playing, and that alone can boost VP even if there's still multiple problems across other fronts. Gamer Legion, Kersey has been a miss for me. This looks bad. I mean, the eye test is bad. Okay, the eye test for Kersey is quite bad. I'm kind of surprised when I watched his demos that he is doing well I watched one serious demo, and then I started keeping a closer eye when I actually watched the matches. This looks poor right now. I don't really see Gamer Legion with Kyoske doing all too much. I feel like they've already kind of like this is just a tier 1.5 team for me. Ash can work his magic. Rez and PR can be up and comers, but I don't think that Kyoske is going to make a dent in tier 1. And I could eat those words. I can absolutely eat those words. In fact, I'll put them beneath Heroic here. But as it stands right now, most of the advanced metrics, not just rating, but rating 3.0 and win probability, Kyoske's pretty bad. So I think he's kind of putting up a lot of empty calorie stats so far, ones that just aren't really changing the face of a round. He hits easy shots, but like that's just the bare minimum for practically every single person on any of these teams. So I'm not really that impressed yet. Okay. We're not going to the very bottom of the tier list, by the way. We're stopping at OG. Okay, actually, you know what? I'll just do OG. I think it's a slightly less exciting topic. They have not even revealed their whole roster yet. They are working now with Adam B instead of Buzz, which kind of surprised me. I didn't really think Buzz was a problem, but I also wasn't really keeping the closest tabs on them. But Adam B is better. He's a better support player. I think that this maybe makes sense per role, but it's definitely in the still more to see. I'm not really even sure what OG's even playing in the upcoming future other than the bounty. I mean, they have to play a lot of closed qualifiers. I mean, they're in that tier right now where they're not really making it to too many big stages. So I'm not going to judge them too harshly either for what they do versus Maus, but just getting my thoughts out on them. The hell going on with Rare Adam, okay? That's kind of just needs to be said. They replace somebody with Trash, and then they replace Trash with Tiger. The two matches that Trash played, he was abhorrent. And so Rare Adam, they're just scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Chinese talent. And this team has been ringing the alarm bells for some time now. Ever since they lost the MRQ for the Chinese region, losing that position to Linvision and Tai Lu, they've just been in a free fall. They've been in a downward spiral. What are some other ones? Okay, actually, kind of a hotly contested one where that's a bit more interesting here. ENCE promoting one of their academy players and then moving SDY to the IGL role. This is because they lost Kaspersky, but then they also wanted to bench Glaive. I feel like anybody that's still trying to play 2018 Counter-Strike is getting a really rude awakening. That's kind of why Zonic just looks like he's completely in the past. And I think that Zonic's been having horrendous results with Falcons for what the pieces he has are. Glaive has been pretty much, he had the one good Elisa event last year and then has proven practically nothing since online. And I actually think that with how ENCE were working, this is probably just in the still more to see, but I'm actually a little bit positive about this just because SDY's IGL'd before. It wasn't that bad. It actually made, it can look fairly nicely structured. And I think that SDY has kind of bounced around enough teams now, and he just feels a little bit more hungry to me than somebody like Glaive. And so I just expect that he's going to be putting in the work, and they're not really going to get an upgrade in firepower. Losing it to Kaspersky is bad. It's kind of actually, now, if I really just try to be more objective instead of being nice to SDY and ENCE, it's sort of in the this looks bad category, just because I don't know how you can. I'll put them in still more to see, okay? Because they could still improve their ranking, which was pretty poor overall. I think ENCE were 52nd. So ENCE are currently 52nd, and they've just been going down since June. They've actually dropped almost 30 ranks since June. So this could be good. This actually could be good. Now, FaZe bringing back Brokey. This looks bad. Brokey doesn't even look that bad, but this team is just not working. Simple definitely gave them something to play for, something to prove to themselves. And I'm not even that mad about Brokey being on the team. He's still kind of a hot and cold opper. But he doesn't seem like he's hitting the same highs for when he's hot. So he's kind of just a cold and decent opper. It doesn't really work being hot and cold and having a low floor when your hot is not scalding anymore. It's not scorching hot. It's just lukewarm. FlyQuest, this is a great move. This is a slam dunk, actually. This is a slam dunk. I don't really even care if the Cologne results weren't good. JKS for Liaz is one of the strictest upgrades you could possibly do across any of these rosters. This is just such a strict... Liaz was bumming it out, okay? Liaz was legitimately bumming it out on FlyQuest. Definitely was just there because he was Oceania royalty. But beyond that, JKS has proven that he can be a great asset as an individual in the server, and all of the buzz around FlyQuest. I just talked to the assistant coach in the Blast Bounty draft show. He talked about how JKS he's just such a good voice. The way I would equate it is kind of like when Elige went down from Liquid to Complexity, but he brought everybody else up with him because he was such a great voice to try to get everybody on a tier 1 level of professionalism. And he's definitely improving their offensive acumen and defensively. So I'm really, really high on this move. Even if FlyQuest peak at 12th in the world, 13th in the world for 1 week on HLTV's rankings, I still think this is a great move just because it fits the brand synergy incredibly well. It is a strict upgrade, and all of these players are going to improve. So it's almost about the method more than the results here for me. Now, Astralis getting Hooksy, also fantastic. In fact, it might even be slam dunk. It might be slam dunk. This is a slam dunk, okay? Cadian for Hooksy, again, it's a while back, but this needed to happen. Astralis look like a more legitimate top 12 team in the world now. I know that still seems relatively low for what the organization aspires to be, or what the glory it once had, but I'm not too concerned about trying to establish a 4 major era or 3 major era, depending on how you want to define that. But no, Hooksy looks great. He surprisingly, maybe not surprising to people that watch closely, he's got more firepower than Cadian, and he's just overall updating. I don't think their strategies are actually that good. I see some weird calls here and there where I'm a little bit disappointed. I feel like Hooksy could be a bit more creative, that he could but this has boosted Yabi a lot. I mean, Yabi looks insanely good now. So they definitely know how to work together. Now, Fnatic saw Liquid NRG bet Boom. Let's go here. Actually, I'll do Pain. I'll do Pain, of course. And yeah, Pain for me with DGT and has been a great move because Kawaz was quite bad. The T sides look nice with DGT there. It fits his natural role, but I think CT side communication has been a little bit rocky. It's been a great move because they made it to the semifinals of the major, so it's almost just objectively has to be. Cologne was not, or the recent what they've done so far this season, what Fisher and Cologne was not great, but overall still a great move. Okay, Kawaz was bad, and DGT is good. The thing is that there's more potential for this than maybe we've even seen, just because DGT's Portuguese proficiency is not super. It's not 100%. Okay, guys. Everybody keeps trying to tell me that they're the same language and everything like that. I have now spoken to enough people to know that regional dialects of both Spanish and Portuguese can be difficult to translate. NQZ has said himself that when he played on a Spanish-speaking lineup, there was a time when he didn't even understand anything that was being said. DGT, on the other hand, from people that have watched Payne's comms and vlogs, his Portuguese is pretty good, but it's not perfect either. Okay, so I don't, this seems like he's maybe 60% of the communicative power that he otherwise could have had he been a fluent speaker. So it's not that one-to-one, okay? It's not as easy as like me hearing a British person talk, okay? Like it's not that simple. Like they are indeed separate languages, okay? Even from a firsthand source. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. Even from a firsthand source, like I took Spanish for something like 3-4 years in high school. I took it for 2 semesters in college, so like 5 years of doing it academically. And yes, I can get some words out of Portuguese for sure, but I can't I couldn't have a conversation with somebody in Portuguese. Okay, there's no way. I could hear them and I could understand bits for sure, but to say that they can just like it's not that big a deal is just that's just not true. That's just not true. Okay. It is obviously true. They've talked about it. I mean, they've talked about it themselves. You can see it in their comms videos. It's a little bit awkward. It's not perfect. That's why it'll get better. That's why it can get better. Okay, Bet Boom, Axile for Dilladez. Man, Axile was bad. Still more to see, of course, because literally haven't watched them play. But Axile, I jumped the gun on this one. Okay, I jumped the gun on Axile being good this season. Opening tournament was cool, was great actually. Even some stuff online was great early on in the year. Like the first month and a half of this year was really good for Axile, but boy did he fall off a cliff and looked really bad too. I mean, he looked like Inters. It looked like he started watching Inters demos for whatever reason. And Axel even started saying stuff like, if I just do my job, we can win. It doesn't really come down to my kills. It's like, no, it does. It comes down to everybody. This is Counter-Strike. It's not basketball. There isn't one ball. Like everybody can shoot. Okay. Everyone can shoot. So I'm disappointed in Axel more than anything here. Liquid bringing in a coach. Again, this is an in theory move. It's great. Okay, this move has looked really bad so far, given the fact that they lost to VP Prodigy, and given the fact that they bombed out. They did not do well at Cologne either, and now they're just fighting for their lives at pretty much every tournament that they play in. But they needed a coach. Okay, so that in itself is a great move. What they did before that with, I mean, it's almost like if you want me to penalize somebody, I mean, this looks bad. It makes sense for the state of the team, but for the actual move they made, it's a great move. Okay, so that's why this tier list is going to look weird. And if people just jump on and look at the screenshot here, they're going to be mad at me. But come on, like a guy that was in the ranks of Blade for a year or so with Flashy coming in has to be an improvement over DeMar DeRover, who used stats-driven analysis to try to find meta-breaking solutions when, at the end of the day, Liquid just weren't playing good Counter-Strike. So I do think that this is really good. I'm looking at the exact amount of time that Flashy was with Navi. He was actually there for almost 2 years. He was a month shy of 2 years. So yes, this is a great move. Okay, regardless, just objectively good. He's a guy with way more experience on a team that's been winning in the CS2 meta. Fnatic. Fnatic's moves were seemingly kind of out of desperation. They had to they got Cypher. It's not out of desperation. It's just that, well, they had to get Cypher because Mattis was taken by G2. I've been a fan of Cypher for a bit. I feel like you could always use this kind of tool on a team. Maybe he's not as well-rounded, even as someone like Yakindar, which sounds crazy because people are like, well, Yakindar is so one-dimensional. I think Cypher might be maybe even more one-dimensional, but I haven't been seeing him as much lately on BC Games, so I don't know what he's been actually showing there. In the opening games with Fnatic, it's just some Blast Rising event, and Cypher fit in pretty well. So I'm not, but it was against a team that nobody's ever heard of. So I'm not jumping the gun on this one yet. This is kind of actually weirdly in a still more to see. I don't think it's as strict a downgrade as some may have you believe. So I'm gonna put them there. Now NRG, I kind of can't believe this. I think this is a great move. I have heard so Exotic has definitely piqued my interest a lot, because those kind of problematic players in the NA space that just really, you can't get a beat on them because I mean, you don't know if you don't even know if they're legit. You don't even know if they're cheating. Yeah, I don't usually like to say that word. You don't even know if they're cheating or what, because he dodged lands early on in his career. He was super sick online. No one even saw his face. That just kind of sounds like somebody with some kind of paid cheats. Okay, so to see him now, at least showing up to a LAN, still delivering at a high level, legitimately exotic might be. I think he might be the best rising star in North America. Final statement. I can't really point to anybody else that has looked this gifted and talented in a while. The decision making and overall gameplay is something that I'm less familiar with, but in terms of putting scoped weapon to head, there might not be any. He might be the best North American opera right now. I can't believe it, but that's where NRG have found themselves, and this might give them the boost that they need. The Carson move, though, is why I don't put this in slam dunk, because I didn't feel like this needed to happen, but I've kind of heard rumblings that Exotic really wanted Carson to be on the team with him, and if that's what they wanted, and that's why Hex had to dip out on the team too, well then so be it. But I would have said that Hex is a better overall player than Carson for sure. So I still have it in the great move, but not in the slam dunk, because it just seems like you got one huge upside positive, and then you got one thing that feels like there's a ceiling to. But maybe it helps him out. Now Saw, the Portuguese team, has promoted Psydox from analyst to coach, and they got Crazy and Aragorn from Rhino. I mean, this is definitely in the still more to see for me, but it's kind of leaning this looks bad. I really wish they found a way to incorporate SHR. I'm trying not to let that SHR aspect influence this too much. Now SHR, by the way, got an Imperial, which I would say is a better overall team. In fact, if I just do this, if I do what's been going on with Imperial, they dropped Decenti and Che Jesus, and they've actually gotten SHR and Cello. Oh God, why? Like, I had such high aspirations for SHR, but Cello is kind of bad. But then again, Che Jesus wasn't really knocking my socks off. So I'm gonna put this actually at the top. Still more to see. I'm so interested in SHR that I'm gonna put that right there. Now MIBR, I think this is the last team that I'm actually gonna end up doing here. They brought in Nyx for like, do I like this team? I mean, MIBR got, it almost looks like a trade where they brought in Nyx for Lukowski. I think Lukowski had a much higher ceiling than Nyx, and now I feel like MIBR are in a pretty bad position. I'm going to put them at the bottom of this. Looks bad, actually. This is a little bit about the state of the team. Maybe all four of these are more about the state of the team than actually the move itself. Or else I maybe would probably be a little bit more positive about Heroic, because kind of your hand was forced. But in terms of just strictly 1-for-1 or 2-for-2, these don't feel great. These don't feel great. I guess the thing was with Gamer Legion, what were you playing with? Acor or Slend instead of Kersey? Maybe I should be a little bit more positive to them. Maybe overall, it's kind of in the still more to see, because Slend had some off games, but so I think Kersey might provide more consistency, which is something that it seems like Ash values. When you're kind of a tier 1.5 team, the most important thing to do is to, actually, you know what? I'm going to put this kind of higher in the still more to see. You know what? Whatever. It's a video that I can do whatever I want on. I'm gonna add a row above this, and we're gonna do a neutral negative, just a slight downgrade. And that's gonna be Saw It's gonna be. That is gonna be. Yeah, I think that's just Saw, and then Heroic, I would say, and we're gonna change his color. So yeah, I think this is a little more fitting. Maybe Fnatic too. Maybe Fnatic. Yeah, let's do that. I think that looks better. Okay, this is a little bit fairer to some of them. I'm gonna even add one above. You know what? We're spacing this out even more. Should have probably thought about these tiers a little bit more, but here. This is gonna be. Oops. We're gonna do this one. I don't really usually do this in the middle of videos, but okay. Still more to see. We're gonna do lightly positive, and that's gonna be Imperial, and we'll even do We'll do Liquid. We'll put Liquid down here. And we're gonna put VP actually. We're gonna put VP in the lightly positive for sure. Okay, this looks better. Actually, you know what, Navi, I'm not gonna jump the gun on that. No, I'm actually not gonna jump the gun. I think it's it's a great. No, it's been great because it's revitalized the team. Okay, with the new tiers, this feels a little bit more balanced. I know I gave a handful of teams great move. Usually I want it to be a bell curve, but that's not actually how roster moves in the offseason work. Sometimes more people do good stuff than bad stuff. You would hope that usually is the case. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you SkinClub for sponsoring this video. And as always, being toxic is a choice.